revealed. How an abandoned boy built an incredible Rolex empire and transformed luxury forever. In a crumbling suburban town overshadowed by decaying factory buildings, 12-year-old Ethan was more than just a boy. He was a dreamer born from the ashes of disappointment. His life was a collage of whispers and stares from classmates who scoffed at his mother Mary's hard-working hands rough and calloused from years on the factory floor. But while others saw struggle, Ethan saw resilience. Their small home, though filled with makeshift furniture and dust, was a shrine of love, laughter, and loyalty where dreams were forged in the fire of hardship. One golden afternoon, as Ethan rummaged through the overgrown grass of Mr. Jenkins' backyard, a broken watch lay in the dirt, half buried but still gleaming. It was as if the universe was trying to point him towards his future. When he picked it up, he felt a spark, one that ignited a passion for craftsmanship that even the toughest economic conditions couldn't snuff out. Mr. Jenkins, a grumpy yet kind-hearted veteran, became a pillar in Ethan's life, offering him wisdom and stories. Integrity is in every gear, he would say, and together, they breathed life into neglected timepieces, teaching Ethan that beauty thrives in the hands of those willing to work for it. Life wasn't kind. Each day, Ethan balanced a paper route and waiting tables, often carrying groceries home for his mother after long shifts. They fought to keep their tight-knit family fabric strong, even as Ethan ached to understand the absence of his father, who vanished years ago. Late-night talks with Mary became their way of confronting dreams of futures brightened by hope, despite the shadows of their current lives. "You'll soar higher," she told him, and he desperately wanted to believe her. Ethan's dream of creating his own luxury watch brand took hold. Each design sketched late into the night, inspired by his community and Mr. Jenkins' laborious lessons. After years of hard work, he finally launched his first collection, a blend of elegance and heart, each watch a pawnbroker of stories, reflecting the grit of his upbringing. This was not just a business. It was a symbol of every sacrifice made, a testament to resilience. But success came with its hurdles. Critics scoffed at the boy from the wrong side of the tracks, branding his work as a gimmick. In those moments of scrutiny, doubts crept in. Was he truly worthy of luxury? Could he rise above the past without sacrificing the values his mother fought tooth and nail to instill? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. At the unveiling of his collection, surrounded by the sparkle of his creations, a figure emerged from the crowd: his father. A wave of emotions crashed over Ethan. Rage, nostalgia, and betrayal. The applause grew thunderous around him. Yet the world faded as the weight of his past battled with the triumph of his present. Could a moment of success heal old wounds? The audience's cheers rang hollow as he stood at the crossroads, heart pounding, wondering if he would have the courage to confront the man who left him. The echoes of applause faded, replaced by the question that loomed larger than the achievements he had earned. Was it too late to reclaim the family bonds lost long ago? Ethan's breath caught in his throat as he caught sight of the man who had once been the center of his universe and then shattered it into pieces. The crowd around him was a blur of excitement and admiration, yet all he felt was a pull toward the figure standing at the back, leerily glancing at him with an inscrutable expression. Time seemed to stretch infinitely, every second heavy with unsaid words and fleeting memories. His father, Michael, wore the same familiar blue jacket Ethan had once picked out for him, years ago in a store that had long since closed down. It was as if the past had come back to mock him. Not the father he remembered strong and reassuring, but a ghost of missed birthdays and empty promises. Ethan's heart raced with confusion. Did this man even know who he was now? "Ethan," a voice broke the moment, pulling him back to the here and now. It was Mary, her gentle hand resting on his arm, grounding him. "You okay?" Her eyes searched his, concern etched across her face. He managed a nod but felt like a marionette. Strings tangled as he stood frozen in that electric moment. Why now, Dad? After all this time? His mind spun. Was opening old wounds the price of his success? Yet in the depths of his heart, a flicker of hope ignited. What if this was his chance? The boy who had always wanted answers, always wanted a father, suddenly faced an undeniable crossroads. Taking a deep breath, Ethan pushed through the crowd. Each step felt like a leap across a chasm of scars and dreams, and with every heartbeat, the layers of resentment melted away, allowing room for unguarded yearning. He wouldn't let this moment slip through his fingers, not when he had fought so hard to pave his own path. As he approached, Michael's features softened, and beneath the uncertainty lay something deeper, a flicker of regret. Ethan, he started, his voice cracking with emotions he had likely buried for too long. Why did you leave? Came the words from Ethan's lips, raw and instinctive. He didn't want to dance around the topic, a steadiness in his gaze that demanded the truth. I thought you'd be better off. I didn't know. Michael's voice faltered. Ethan clenched his fists at his side. You didn't know? That's it? I was alone, and Mom had to do everything. You disappeared. The hurt bubbled to the surface, fierce and unyielding. Yet, in between the anger and accusation, he glimpsed something in his father's eyes, a glimmer of understanding, of shared pain. For a moment, Ethan felt the turbulence subside into a whisper of empathy. I want to make it right, Michael continued, fighting to hold Ethan's gaze, as if struggling to bridge the chasm that had formed over their years apart. Right? The word echoed like a promise, but could it truly mean anything? Ethan wanted to believe it. Yet, could he reconcile the image of the man in front of him with the father he had yearned for? A father who was part of his dreams. Thoughts swirled around him like autumn leaves in a gust of wind. The applause climbed back into the foreground, yet all he could hear was the thumping of his heart against the canvas of his hope and skepticism. Can we start over? Michael's voice broke through the noise, and for the first time, Ethan felt a sense of possibility wrap around the hurt. Could they truly rebuild? The uncertainty loomed, casting shadows on what was once their family. In that moment, another realization hit him. His dreams could become more than crafted watches or applause. They could become a new life, one intertwined with forgiveness if he dared to embrace it. Ethan turned his gaze to the glittering watches on display, each one a marker of his journey. But this time, one of them felt different, the one that could tell time, not just as a measure of minutes, but as a way to mold memories anew. Yeah, he finally said, soft but resolute. But it's going to take time. Would they be able to rebuild the bridge that had long since fallen? As the audience continued to cheer, Ethan faced Michael, the restless weight of their past pressing against the possibility of a new start. What lay ahead was unclear, but one thing was sure. The journey was about to get more complicated. What did it mean to forgive? And how would that redefine everything he had fought for? The echoes of unanswered questions danced like fireflies in the twilight, leaving the next chapter of his life brimming with uncertainty and possibility. Ethan's mind raced as he stood there, the cheers of the crowd fading into a distant hum. How can we even start? He thought, grappling with the weight of his father's presence. Memories surged like tidal waves, long nights spent waiting for a call, peeling back the layers of hope only to reveal disappointment. His father's gaze held both a hunger and a fear. It felt like a long-forgotten song, one full of bittersweet melodies and unresolved notes. Ethan's fists remained clenched, yet a small part of him yearned to reach out, to mend what had been lost. Could they truly bridge those years of separation with mere words? Mary edged closer, sensing the tension radiating between father and son. Ethan, she whispered, trying to break the impending silence. It's okay to feel this way, you don't have to rush. Ethan looked at her, her eyes a reassuring beacon amidst the storm brewing in his heart. But the torrent inside him surged, questions swirled, desperate for clarity. What does being back even mean? He wanted to scream. Michael took a step forward, breaking through Ethan's reverie. I realize I was so selfish, Ethan. I thought leaving was best for both of us. I was wrong. The sincerity in his father's voice snagged at Ethan's heart, a weak thread pulling him closer. "Why didn't you come back when you saw how much it hurt?" he asked, anguish lacing through his tone. "I was scared of seeing what I lost, of facing the mess I made." Michael's admission hung in the air, absently tangled with the sound of the crowd still buzzing with excitement. The intimate feel of this confrontation felt worlds apart from the spectacle of the event. "Is that really an excuse?" Ethan challenged, his voice a brittle edge. "You made a choice to disappear." Anger bubbled hot and raw, each word spat out like an accusation cast into the roaring applause surrounding them. The moment stretched, suffocating in its intensity. Michael dropped his head, the weight of regret etched across his features. "It's more than that. I've held on to guilt for so long. I thought I was protecting you. I was wrong. I know that now." Ethan's emotional turmoil churned. He wanted to believe in his father's sincerity, but years of hurt were not so easily swept aside. Suddenly, he felt Mary's reassuring hand squeeze his arm, reminding him he was not alone. "Maybe," he started, barely above a whisper, "maybe we can talk. Really talk." The tentative hope fluttered in his chest like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon, fragile yet resilient. "Absolutely," Michael affirmed, his voice steady but strained. "I promise to do better this time if you'll let me. I want to hear about everything: your life, your successes." As Michael spoke, Ethan couldn't avoid the unfolding sense of fear mixed with possibility. What if this was it? Was he ready to confront his long-buried pain? The crowd, once a comfort, now felt like 1,000 eyes prying into his turmoil. "I just want to understand," Ethan replied, feeling raw. "After all this, can we really put the pieces back together?" Michael nodded slowly, and Ethan saw the determination etched on his father's face. "Yes, it's going to take time, but I want to try. Please, I'll do whatever it takes." Ethan inhaled deeply, the air teeming with uncertainty. But here, under the spotlight of his success, in the thrumming vibrancy of life that surrounded them, he sensed a flicker of something new: acceptance, perhaps, or the promise of connection. Just beyond the horizon of their conversation, Ethan felt the undercurrents of his life shifting. Forgiveness hovered on the edge, threatening to bloom into something neither of them understood yet. As the applause reached a fever pitch, he caught a glimpse of the glistening watches on display. Lives woven together with threads of time, ticking toward a future bound by the choices they would make now. Could he really step forward and carve out a new relationship with the man who had caused him so much pain? As he looked back at Michael, the question loomed larger than life: was it truly possible to reforge bonds beyond the scars of yesterday? With uncertainty seeping into his bones, Ethan took a shaky step toward his father, ready to explore the uncharted territories of their new beginning. Would this shaky path lead them toward healing? Or would the shadows of the past continue to haunt their every step? The next chapter held answers he could only dream of. Ethan felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, not just from the crowd but from within himself. The cheers echoed, a startling contrast to the heavy silence draping over him and Michael. He did something he rarely did: he let the vulnerability wash over him, stealing strength from the facade he built all those years. "Let us find somewhere private to talk," he finally said, his voice steadier than he felt. He turned, leading the way to a quieter part of the venue, away from the noise, away from the crowd. Mary fell in step behind them, a comforting presence. Ethan's heart raced, not just from the conversation ahead but from the overwhelming hope mingling with unease. He'd spent years pretending that this moment would never come. Now that it was here, a part of him doubted if he was ready to face it. They found a secluded spot in a dimly lit corner filled with the scent of freshly polished wood and soft leather. The ambience was calming, a stark contrast to the chaos of their last few moments. Ethan leaned against the wall, his breath shaky, as he watched his father. Michael seemed a shadow of the man Ethan had blamed for so long. The lines on his face told stories of regret and longing. "I want to explain, son," he began, his voice filled with rawness, "about why I left, how I felt when I made that choice." Ethan crossed his arms, resisting the urge to shield himself from the pain he was already feeling. The very idea of forgiveness felt daunting. "I'm listening," he replied, barely containing the tremor of emotion. "I thought I was doing what was best. I convinced myself it would spare you the hurt of a broken family, but I didn't realize how selfish that thinking was. I didn't realize the pain it would cause you over the years. It tore me apart to stay away. But I felt weak. I thought I'd only bring you down." Michael's eyes glistened, and Ethan saw a depth in them that made his heart ache. It was a mix of shame and the desperate need for understanding. Ethan felt the old, familiar anger bubbling. "You thought leaving would fix things? You weren't just a ghost, you were a thief. You stole my chance to have a father." The words lingered painfully in the air, like shards of glass. "I can't change what happened," his father replied, anguish clouding his voice. "But I can change what comes next if you'll let me. I've seen what I've missed. You're thriving, I'm proud, beyond words. But I'm sorry, and I want to be in your life now." The confession hit Ethan like a wave crashing over him. Pride and fear warred within him. The thought of opening his heart, after years of keeping it locked away, felt almost unbearable. "What if I'm just not ready?" he whispered, barely allowing himself to voice the thought. "Then I'll wait," Michael said firmly. "I won't rush you. But please, don't shut me out completely." Mary stepped forward, gently placing her hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You've built walls for protection, but it's okay to let some of them down. It doesn't mean you have to forgive him overnight. Just give yourself a chance to feel." Ethan watched as uncertainty flickered across Michael's pallid features. Their conversation was fragile, filled with risk, yet the flicker of hope was undeniable. His heart hammered in his chest, each beat resonating with the pain of years lost and the cautious hope for new beginnings. The possibility of forgiveness felt like standing at the edge of a vast canyon. He could either leap and trust he would find the bridge or step back into the familiar darkness. "Maybe, just maybe, we can see each other again," he said slowly, the words wrapping around them like a thin thread of connection. Michael nodded, an expression of cautious yet genuine relief washing over him. As Mary's touch grounded him, Ethan wondered if they could truly pave a new path, a journey filled with uncertain steps, but also with potential for something beautiful, something healing. Could forgiveness blossom in the shadows of their past? And as they stood there, uncertain of everything yet somehow tethered together, the question hung heavy in the air like an unspoken promise. What had they been missing all these years, and could they uncover it before it was too late? Ethan stood there, leaning against the cool wall, absorbing the moment. His mind raced, but there was a reluctant calm emerging within him, a cautious hope flickering like a candle in a dark room. He took a deep breath, the air around him infused with the scent of polished leather and old memories waiting to be shared. "Okay," he said finally, a bit louder than intended. "We can talk. But it's not going to be easy. Just because you're here now doesn't erase everything that happened." "I understand," Michael replied, his voice steady but full of emotion. "I don't expect it to be easy. I just want the chance to be part of your life again, no matter how long it takes." Ethan glanced at Mary, who was still standing close, her presence a grounding force amidst the storm of feelings swirling inside him. Her steady gaze reassured him, as if she were silently giving him permission to embrace whatever happened next. "Where do we even start?" Ethan asked, more to himself than anyone else. "You left, Michael. You left when I needed you the most." A deep sigh escaped his father's lips. "I've spent so much time thinking about what it means to be present. I thought leaving was protecting you. I was wrong. I'm ready to face that truth." "Facing the truth is just the beginning," Ethan shot back, his heart racing. "You missed birthdays, graduations, everything. Do you even know who I am now? I may not know your life, but I've watched from afar. I know you've become a man that anyone would be proud of." "I wish I could have been there," Michael said with sincerity. "Just let me in, give me a chance. Tell me about your life." For a moment Ethan hesitated. Could he let down his walls even a little? Felt like a monumental decision. But with each heartbeat, he felt the heaviness of the past start to shift. He let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. "All right, I graduated last year. I'm working with a team on some innovative projects. There's so much going on, like what? Michael prompted, leaning in slightly, the eagerness lighting up his tired features. There's this concept I'm passionate about. It's about entrepreneurship, about building dreams. Ethan began, finding his voice. I've started creating watches, to be specific. Luxury timepieces that tell a story, with every detail representing something meaningful. I want people to see time as a treasure, not just something to count down. His father's eyes widened, a flicker of pride breaking through. Watches. That's incredible. Just like a legacy. You're building something that lasts. Yeah, like a legacy, Ethan mused, the warmth spreading through him. The kind I thought I'd never have after you left. The uncertainty was still there, but Ethan's heart began to swell with a mix of longing and hope. His father's presence was still a raw wound, but the possibility of healing was creeping in. There's room for us to build something too, Michael ventured cautiously. Not just your business, but a relationship if you want that. Ethan felt a twinge of fear. But what if you leave again? What if this is just another empty promise? I can't. Walk away again, Michael declared, a mix of desperation and determination in his voice. You have my word. Just give me the chance to show you. What if Ethan stopped, unsure of how to voice the reality that loomed at the edge of this fragile new connection? What if this is a big mistake? What if I open up and it all falls apart? Silence enveloped them momentarily, thick with vulnerability. But as they stood there, looking at each other, Ethan felt the tiniest thread weaving between them, fragile yet unbreakable. Could this thread hold them together in the journey ahead? As the question lingered like a fresh breath, Ethan realized that stepping toward each other, no matter how scary, was the first step toward discovering what could truly be. The thought set his heart racing again, but this time with a different kind of energy, one that felt alive. What could this new beginning look like? Would he be brave enough to grasp it? Ethan pulled in a shaky breath. The air felt thick, charged with unspoken words and unprocessed emotions. The weight of their shared history pressed heavily on him. But there, beneath the surface, was a flicker of something new. His father stood before him, not as the man who abandoned him, but as someone who yearned to reconnect. So what do we do now? Ethan finally asked, the uncertainty bubbling up inside him. His voice wavered slightly, betraying the storm of feelings raging within. Michael took a small step forward, the vulnerability in his eyes evident. We start by being honest with each other. I'm not asking for forgiveness right away or easy acceptance. I'm just asking for a chance. Ethan's heart hammered in his chest. He daydreamed countless times of this moment, playing it out in his mind like a scene from a film. But now that it was here, the reality felt daunting. It was easier said than done. How can I trust you? You left me once. What's to stop you from doing it again? Ethan's words pierced the air, sharp and raw. I know it's not enough to just say I've changed. But I have, Michael replied, his voice strained. These years have taught me so much about what it means to be present. I didn't understand it then, but I'm ready to fight for my place in your life. To make it right. Ethan looked into his father's eyes and saw the slightest glimmer of sincerity, a desperate hope clinging to the possibility of a new beginning. But could he allow himself to hope too? The walls around his heart were fortified with years of hurt. I don't even know what that looks like, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. What do you expect from me? Just be you, Michael urged. Tell me about your world. I may not have been there for the small things, but I want to learn about everything from the big dreams to the everyday moments that matter. Let me be a part of your life again, however that looks for both of us. Ethan's mind began to spin with a mix of anger, confusion, and longing. Vulnerability was a two-way street. If he opened up, he risked being hurt all over again. Yet a small part of him, the part that had missed having a dad, found itself yearning for connection. All right, Ethan said slowly, but this is going to take time. I can't just forgive and forget overnight. You need to understand that. I wouldn't expect anything less, Michael replied, relief filling his features. We can take it one step at a time. Mary, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. Ethan, This is a unique chance for both of you. Maybe starting small is the way to go, sharing simple things about your lives. You could have coffee together, talk about your days, or even the watches you're so passionate about. Ethan turned to her, the weight of her support grounding him. You really think coffee is a good place to start? I mean, can we really begin to rebuild from there? Why not? She encouraged, her eyes sparkling with optimism. Connection often starts with the simplest things. A flicker of a smile tugged at Ethan's lips, and for the first time, a hint of excitement dared to creep in. Okay, coffee it is. Michael's face lit up, a warmth spreading through the air between them. I love that. But even as the words hung in the air, a nagging fear returned. What if this wasn't enough? What if, despite their efforts, the wounds of the past couldn't heal? Ethan caught himself staring at the ground, where a line of sunlight broke through the shadows, illuminating their faces. It felt as if hope was reaching out, challenging him to open his heart once more. Maybe we can schedule our first coffee for this weekend? Michael suggested, hopeful as Ethan met his gaze. He felt the tremor of possibility rise within him, but the new thread connecting them still felt delicately poised, too fragile to predict its future. Let us see how it goes, Ethan finally replied, his heart a quiet mix of anticipation and trepidation. Outside, the world continued to spin, unaware of the moment brewing between them. As they exchanged tentative smiles, a mutual agreement filled the space, a fresh start sparking just beneath the surface. But in the back of Ethan's mind lingered a question. Was his heart ready to embrace this new chapter, or would the shadows of the past bleed into their future together? The weekend seemed far away, but the clock was ticking. The weekend arrived with an air of nervous anticipation. Ethan had spent the days leading up to it tangled in his thoughts, vacillating between excitement and fear. Coffee with his dad. Just a cup of coffee, yet it transformed into a mountain of expectations in his mind. What if it was awkward? What if the silence stretched out like a chasm that neither could cross? He glanced at the clock on Saturday morning. It was only 10, but it felt like hours since he woke, his stomach knotting with every passing minute. He found himself staring out the window, watching the clouds roll across the sky, mirroring the turmoil inside him. Each puffy white formation hinted at both promise and uncertainty. His phone buzzed. Breaking through, he was pulled from his swirling thoughts. A message from Michael appeared on the screen. Looking forward to our coffee. Where and when? Heart racing, Ethan's fingers hovered over the keyboard. He settled on a small cafe near the park. They'd often gone there as a family before everything fell apart. The memory made his palms clammy. Was he really ready to step back into a place that bore so much history? He hit send and tried to shake off the anxiety that clung to him. An hour later, he walked into the cafe, his skin prickling under the fluorescent lights. The place had a comforting buzz. Aromas of brewed coffee and baked pastries enveloped him, yet tempered by the crowd's chatter. He scanned the room, searching for Michael among the faces, each stranger amplifying the knots in his stomach. Then, he saw him. Michael sat at a table in the corner, nervously fidgeting with the edge of the menu. The years seemed to have softened his demeanor. Hair a bit grayer, worry lines etched deeper into his brow. Yet even from a distance, Ethan could sense a determination in him, a reflection of the man he hoped could be. "Hey," Ethan said as he approached, attempting to keep his voice steady despite the whirlwind inside. "Hey," Michael replied, his expression lighting up but faltering, as if unsure how to proceed. He motioned for Ethan to sit. Ethan lowered himself into the chair, a world of memories colliding in the air between them. They fell into a hesitant rhythm, sipping their drinks and exchanging small talk about the weather. A sense of normalcy emerged, yet there was a palpable tension that neither could shake. They were like performers on a stage. Every action felt rehearsed, awkward, yet necessary. "How has school been?" Michael asked, breaking the ice. Ethan noticed the interest in his father's eyes, yearning for connection, and couldn't help but let some of his guard down. "It's been all right," Ethan sighed. "Busy with projects, especially the watch designs." Michael's eyes widened. "You're still doing that? Tell me more." For a moment, Ethan was taken aback. His heart raced not from fear but from exhilaration. Yeah, I've been learning a lot about the mechanics and the art of it. It's fascinating. As he spoke, small bursts of passion ignited between them. With each word, Michael leaned closer, rapt with attention. It was a connection real and alive. Maybe, just maybe, they could do this. But just as quickly as warmth spread through the atmosphere, a shadow loomed. Ethan's thoughts drifted to his mother, her absence becoming an unspoken presence at the table. Where do you fit in all of this? He asked, the question bursting out before he could tame it. What if you walk away again? Michael inhaled sharply, his face turning grave. I want tea, he promised. I know I can't change the past, but I'm here now. I want to be part of your life. I want to prove it. Ethan studied him, searching for the flicker of sincerity he wanted to believe in. What if it's not enough? Silence hung heavy in the air. They both took a sip of coffee that had grown lukewarm, a reminder of the deep-seated doubts brewing behind each encounter. Maybe we need to figure that out together, Michael finally replied, his voice steely but sincere. Ethan's heart raced again, not from uncertainty, but from curiosity about the road ahead. Could they really navigate this together? As hope flickered, another question nestled into his mind. What would it take for Ethan to let forgiveness seep through all those years of hurt? Before he could answer, the cafe door swung open, and an unexpected figure caught his eye. A woman with familiar features walked in, her silhouette echoing a past he didn't expect to confront today. The air shifted, and with it, his heartbeat quickened. What if this was a twist he hadn't anticipated? What if today held more revelations than just coffee and conversation? Ethan's eyes widened as he recognized the woman who stood by the entrance, shaking off the remnants of the cool spring air. It took a moment for his mind to piece together the image, the soft curls, the freckled cheeks, the way she always had a smile ready. It was Sarah, his mother's sister, his aunt, the one person who had been a constant in his life before everything unraveled. Ethan? Her voice rang out, pulling him from his thoughts. Her eyes sparkled with recognition, but just as quickly, they clouded with uncertainty as she spotted Michael across the table. He hadn't seen her in years. Not since the funeral. Hi, Aunt Sarah, he managed, his throat dry, a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside. Ethan glanced at Michael, who had stiffened in his chair, his expression a mix of surprise and apprehension. The light-hearted atmosphere that had begun to brew between them faded into nothingness. Hey there, Sarah responded, her warmth cutting through the tension, but her gaze flickered to Michael, as if trying to figure out what to say next. It's been a long time. How are you? Ethan felt small under her scrutiny, memories surging like tidal waves, happy summers spent at her house where laughter ran like a river. But now, could he accept any joy from the past with everything that had happened? I'm okay, he said, forcing a smile. Just meeting my dad for coffee. The word hung between them, heavy with unspoken history. Is this the first time? Yes, Michael answered for him, his voice steady yet edged with discomfort. We're trying to reconnect. Sarah nodded slowly, her gaze shifting between father and son. There was a flicker of understanding in her eyes, perhaps a softness that suggested she had sensed the rift that had plagued this family for years. Ethan, can I talk to you for a second? She asked, her tone gentle, almost pleading. He hesitated, glancing back at Michael, who gestured subtly for Ethan to go ahead, something unspoken passing between them. A sense of urgency buzzed in the air, a need to clear away the clouds of uncertainty. Yeah, okay. Ethan pushed back his chair and followed her outside. The cafe's warmth faded behind him, and the cool air hit him like an unexpected splash of reality. Things have been rough, I know, Sarah started, her voice low. But I want you to know that I'm here for you. I always have been. Ethan looked into her eyes and saw the sincerity reflected back. I just didn't know how to reach out, he admitted, the weight of his feelings threatening to overwhelm him. It's been complicated. She nodded. Your mother loved you so much, Ethan. Her passing changed everything, and I hate that you've had to carry the burden alone. I haven't exactly had the best support system. Ethan said, bitterness creeping into his voice. Where were you guys when? I know. I'm so sorry. She interrupted, her voice cracking. We all felt lost. I lost track of how to help. Ethan clenched his fists, not sure if he wanted to let her in or push her away. So what's the point now? Because it's not too late, she said, stepping closer. You still have family who cares about you, and I think you need that. Her words landed heavy, stirring something deep within him. Could family still mean something when so many fragments lay scattered around him? Can we start again? Sarah asked, her eyes pleading, mirroring the hope he had seen in Michael's earlier. Ethan's heart danced on the precipice between doubt and possibility. Knowing the answer could change everything, that maybe just maybe he could open himself to healing. But as thoughts swirled in his head, uncertainty loomed just behind. What would it take for him to rebuild those connections he so desperately craved amidst the fear of being hurt again? As silence fell between them, he finally whispered, I don't know. I'm scared. Meanwhile, back inside the cafe, Michael watched the door as Ethan and Sarah talked. Anxious thoughts raced through his mind. Had he made a mistake by letting his son step away? And what would it mean if Ethan opened that door to her? The deeper questions loomed as the weight of the moment pressed heavy on both sides. What decisions would unravel next, leading them further down this tangled path of rediscovery? With everything now at stake, the next steps felt more uncertain than ever. Would Ethan find the courage to embrace change, or would old wounds keep him shackled to the past? Ethan stared at Sarah, yearning for the warmth he remembered from childhood, but feeling only the cold edge of doubt. The hesitation stretched between them, filled with words left unspoken and history too painful to dig into just yet. What if I can't? He finally uttered, his voice barely above a whisper. What if I open that door and it leads to more hurt? Sarah's expression softened. I don't want to minimize what you've been through, what all of us have been through. But holding on to the past won't bring your mom back. It won't heal the wounds. You deserve to be held, to be loved. More love? What does that even mean? He shot back, frustration creeping in. Everyone says that, but they don't see how broken I am. How can I trust that this time will be different? A look of deep empathy passed over her features, and Ethan saw the all-consuming grief still lingering in her eyes. She had lost part of herself too. Trust is a fragile thing, Ethan, and it takes time to rebuild. I don't expect you to forgive us all right away, but how about one small step? Just one? He gazed at her, torn between years of yearning for connection and the fear of stepping into unknown territory. What does that look like? He asked, his voice shaking slightly. Let us just meet more often. Talk. Share our memories of her, the good ones. Allow ourselves to feel the love she gave us. Ethan considered this, the idea of slowly letting someone in, of opening his heart again. Yet, in the back of his mind, dread still poked at him. Could this really work? The tether of the past was taut, warning him of another potential letdown. I don't want pity, he said finally, his voice more firm. Sarah nodded. I understand. This isn't about pity. It's about building something new together. You don't have to go through this alone anymore. As he stood before her, watching her earnestness unfold, a flicker of hope flickered to life in his chest, a small but undeniable ember. "'Kay." He breathed, "I'll think about it." "Good, that's all I ask for." Sarah's face brightened a bit. "And maybe we could start with coffee next week? Just us, no pressure." Ethan nodded, and for the first time, he felt a genuine smile break through the chaos. There was something reassuring in the thought of taking a baby step forward, even if the path remained shadowed. Just then, the cafe door swung open, and Michael stepped out, glancing between Ethan and Sarah, suspicion etched into his features. "Is everything all right?" he asked, concern lacing his voice. "We're just talking," Ethan replied, finding a new steadiness in his words. The connection with Sarah was already starting to build a wall against the uncertainty he felt. Michael's eyes flicked to Sarah, and Ethan could sense the guarded tension still clinging to their relationship. It was a mix of history and unresolved feelings. "Maybe you both should come inside," Michael suggested hesitantly. "Let us all sit together." The invitation hung heavy in the air, a crossroads moment. Could Ethan handle that? Would the presence of both adults only deepen his confusion? But just as he was about to respond, a flicker of inspiration washed over him. Actually, he said, his voice steadier than before, maybe we should each take a moment alone first. Let us regroup in a few. I need a minute. As Ethan walked away from them, the world felt heavier on his shoulders. But the fragment of hope he ignited with Sarah's words began to push through the darkness. Could he really embrace change? Here he stood, at the brink of something extraordinary, truly at a point of no return. The lingering questions in his mind wore on him like old scars, but also promising what could be. What if that small flicker of hope could grow into something he long thought lost? Would a simple cup of coffee be the first step in reshaping his life? Ethan felt the weight of the possibilities pressing down on him, filled with apprehension and a glimmer of excitement. As he paced outside, breathing in the crisp air, he wrestled with the weight of the choices looming ahead. But one question remained, echoing in his mind. Was he truly ready to embrace the bonds of family once more? Ethan stood at the crossroads of his life, where hope and trepidation intertwined. The cool air brushed against him like a reminder that change was possible. He took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of coffee and uncertainty. His heart raced as he thought of the conversations yet to unfold, the connections he yearned to forge. In that moment, he felt something shift within, a willingness to confront the past for the sake of a brighter future. Back inside the cafe, Michael sat at the table, glancing at Sarah with unease. The silence between them thickened. Is he really okay? Michael asked, anxiety edging into his voice. I don't want to push him too fast, he added, his eyes darting toward the door. Sarah followed his gaze. Ethan's been through a lot. All he needs is time. We have to let him lead this. Her heart raced too, knowing the precarious balance they all walked. You both have a chance here. Don't let it slip away. It felt surreal. Years of separation had led to this moment, where family ties could possibly be mended. As Ethan stepped back inside, he noticed Michael and Sarah's expressions. They bore the weight of their regrets but also a glimmer of hope. He approached their table, feeling the warmth of their attention beckoning him forward. Can we try again? He asked, catching both of them off guard. Of course, Michael responded, his voice raw with emotion. I'm here, Ethan. No matter what. And I'm here too, Sarah added. Family matters, even if it's been broken. With those words, Ethan felt something stir inside him. Maybe this was it, the moment to embrace the possibility of healing. Let us share our stories, Ethan suggested, surprising even himself. I want to hear about Mom. The memories that made her, well, her. He could see the relief in their eyes. A bridge had just been built with those simple words. Michael nodded, the lines on his face softening. I'd love to share. Your mom was the light in our lives, always ready with a smile. Ethan felt the knot in his chest loosen. She loved baking, right? I remember her cookies. Laughter erupted around the table, driving away the tension. The kitchen was always a mess after, Sarah said, her eyes twinkling with fond memories. And she'd offer you all the burnt ones and say they were the best. As they reminisced, stories flowed, a warmth wrapping around the table like a cozy blanket. They opened up about their joys and sorrows, letting the past breathe life into their conversations, transforming the bitterness into smiles and laughter, grasping for healing. Michael spoke about the last birthday they shared together, the homemade cake that was practically inedible yet cherished by all. She was so proud of it, he recalled, a dreamy smile on his face. All she wanted was for us to be happy. Ethan listened, every story building the fabric of their family anew, thread by thread. Hope began to bloom, accompanied by vivid memories that filled the empty spaces in their hearts. The atmosphere shifted. Where hesitation once lingered was now camaraderie. Ethan realized his heart was opening, allowing forgiveness to seep through like sunlight breaking into a night sky. We can start over, can't we? He asked, his voice a bit steadier. This could mean something, building a family again. Absolutely. We may be a bit cracked, but those lines tell a story, Michael replied, emotion thickening his voice. Sarah nodded. Together, we can patch those cracks and reinforce the bonds. Ethan felt a rising surge of emotion, unfamiliar but comforting. The clock ticked softly in the background, each second marking their journey from darkness into light. Okay, Ethan breathed, determination blossoming within. Let us make this work. Let us build new memories. As they exchanged tentative smiles, a pact formed among them, solidifying their desire to nurture this new beginning. Out of sorrow sprang hope, propelling them into the future with open hearts and courage. The cafe buzzed around them, oblivious to the profound changes unfurling within that table. The air felt lighter, infused with the promise of family and love. Rekindled, they left the cafe together, a trio of renewed spirits, ready to embrace a future filled with possibility. The scars of yesterday still lingered, but now there was the warmth of connection that had been lost, and in its place, the potential for a legacy to be built, one watch, one story, and one step at a time. And as they stepped back into the world, Ethan couldn't help but feel grateful. The journey ahead was still unclear, but for the first time, he saw a path illuminated with hope. Ethan's heart swelled with a sense of belonging as they walked together. They weren't just rebuilding watches anymore. They were reigniting the fierce love that had once defined their family. With every tick of the clock, they were reclaiming lost time, and his heart dared to believe this was just the beginning. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and bring more heartfelt transformations. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. I want to hear your thoughts. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring journey. You need to show your support and spread the love.